growing up as the daughter of Hulk Hogan, even as a little child, had to be pretty tough as far as having privacy and stuff.
You know what's so crazy? My dad did a great thing. He raised us on Clearwater Beach in Florida.
Sure.
And, even now today, there's still like no paparazzi, even though it's getting a little bit more touristy. Clearwater Beach is like small town, beach town kind of thing. And we didn't really deal with that Hollywood, Kim Kardashian paparazzi thing when we were kids, So the only time that we really knew that something was going on with Dad, that he was different than the rest of the dads, was, when we'd see him on TV, or we would, go to like a Hall of Fame or a WrestleMania. And that's when it really got real. You're like, wow, my dad is a superhero.
I was going to say, at some point in time, I mean, there had to be a point in time where you didn't know your dad was Hulk Hogan, or maybe who even Hulk Hogan was.
I think there's still a level of mystique for my brother and I, because we only know him as our dad, and we're constantly surprised and bowled over every time we see a fan that's like, oh my God, Hulk Hogan, and they start crying, or he gets a standing ovation when he walks in a room. People don't stop clapping and screaming, and it's like, it still hits you every time, even though we're the closest people to him. It still is. It's awe-inspiring. It gives you goosebumps still to this day, even though you'd think that we'd be used to it. It still is so incredible to see the impact that he's had on people and the world. It really never, the mystique never really wears off. It's pretty amazing.
So you grew up in Clearwater. Now you live in L.A. now?
I live in L.A. now, and I like to joke, I've moved everywhere. I'm like a gypsy. I've been in Nashville. I've been back and forth between Florida and California. So, but I have a couple things going on here now that require me to be here in California. So,
well, I knew you were doing some filming. I wasn't sure that you weren't still in Montreal at this point.
Oh my gosh. I know, it seems like I was in Montreal for a year. We were actually filming a really cool TV show called The Fashion Hero, which is the easier way to explain it is kind of like America's Next Top Model, but with real people. So you don't have to be, stick skinny or starve yourself to be a model. You can be beautiful the way you are. So that was a really cool experience, and I spent a whole month in Montreal. So now I have a little bit of my French down.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're in Montreal and you don't speak French, there's a problem.
Oh, my gosh. And we were in Laval, Canada, which was about, 45 minutes outside of Montreal. And, they're really trying to keep their French culture. So nobody really speaks English. All the signs, everything in Walmart everything's in French. So it was definitely like being truly in a different country, because people think, oh, Canada is, very Americanized or, very similar to America. And it looks that way, but everybody speaks French for the most part, and barely switches over to English.
So growing up in Clearwater, Florida, hanging out for a long time in Montreal, Nashville, and L.A., if you could only pick one, where would it be?
Ooh, man, I love L.A. because, I have my different reasons why I like everywhere. Nashville, there's something about Nashville that will, be my home. That's, where I found my heart. That's where most of my really good friends are, that lifetime friends that I think I'll keep for a very long time. Nashville, there's just something amazing about it. It's still small town, but there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Awesome restaurants and music playing everywhere, and just the energy there is incredible. But I love LA because I stay busy working here, and my brother's here, my mom's here, and then Florida is kind of those are my roots. So the beach and the white powdery sand, and my dad's there. I'm torn. My heart is in a million different places around the United States.
You're not supposed to say a girl's age, but you're not 30, and my God, you've done more stuff than most people will do in their entire life already. You
know what's so funny, saying the girl's age? I actually am at that point where I'm proud to be nearing 30. I'm proud to not be 18 anymore. Somebody, when I turned 20, was like, your 20s are the hardest years of your life. And I'll tell you what, man, it's true. I'm excited to be getting into my niche, finding the career spot that I'm supposed to be in. Things are kind of settling in now. 20s was just absolutely crazy. So I'm proud to be 28. But yeah, I've done a lot. People always say, geez, you act like a little 4-year-old or something. And it's I've lived so many lifetimes already and worked really hard and have seen so much and met so many people that it's hard to kind of digress or regress, or what the word would be, listen to me being 28 now. It's hard to go back and hang out with 25-year-olds and 26-year-olds now, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't even know. You don't even know what's ahead of you yet.
That's maybe what's great about country music is you don't have to have lived a lifetime to be able to connect to people in different ways. And that's kind of what country music does.
Yeah, you know what? I fell in love with Nashville, not so much, because it was a great city, but the community there of songwriters. I had been in the pop game for a long time, and people would hand you a beat, and then you'd write some like, "Ooh, yeah, touch my body," kind of stuff. And but no, like in Nashville, I really learned the art of songwriting, and now it makes it hard to listen to just regular music because I'm like, oh my God, they must have taken 5 minutes to write this song, And now that I have that respect for the people that are the true songwriters in Nashville and how songs are written and put together and the chord progressions and the words and the story that it tells, it's hard for me to not listen to anything but country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the only thing that really catches my attention is like the amazing production on these new Justin Bieber songs and stuff. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm a Justin Bieber fan. What's going on?
Well, so let me ask you a couple of the standard questions, I suppose. Growing up, Brooke Knows Best reality show, was that pretty much a look at your life? I mean, that wasn't TV produced. That was the way growing up with the Hulk and a very protective dad?
Oh, man, that's a loaded question because there's like one question inspires 10 million answers in my head. So I'll just kind of take you through the process. So I was 13 years old, and I got my first record deal in Orlando, Florida. And actually, this guy just passed away, Lou Pearlman, who was like the boy band mogul.
Right, yeah.
He was the guy that signed me. I did an audition for him and came back a year later with, more chops and this and that. And he finally signed me when I was 13. And he said, the new thing taking off is this reality show stuff. The Osbournes are on TV. It's like a huge platform. You guys should do something like that, right? So back in the day, it was like such a new thing. Taking a famous guy with, that's taking Hulk Hogan, who's being basically a stage dad, was what the hook was that you would think that it would be like dance moms and stuff like that, but really it was this big, tough Hulk Hogan, helping me, with my microphone and passing me my lipstick. It was funny to watch him be a stage mom kind of. So that was really the hook for the show, and VH1 did a special with us for an hour to kind of like test out the family dynamic, and it was the highest rated 1 hour special that they had in the history of VH1. So they said, let's do a reality show, and it ended up it helped the music, but it ended up being a bigger monster than we thought it was going to be. It ended up like being the family show and this and that, and then when the family show stopped, we did the spin-off of Brooke Knows Best, and then we just had absolute pandemonium happen with our family, so we stopped filming and stuff like that. But it was interesting because, now that I'm doing TV again and I'm getting back into the swing of things, one of the new projects I'm working on is like, oh, yeah, we'll film the whole season in 2 weeks. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It used to take us 3 months to film 10 episodes, So now they've got this filming and production down pat and so tight. But we were kind of like the pioneers. So it was... First season was a lot of reality. We were kind of winging it with the production company. We didn't really know what exactly we were getting or what we were doing. We just were kind of thinking of things to make it interesting, but it wasn't totally scripted. But there's only so much that you can do as a family that's interesting. Eventually, we had to start really thinking of stuff, and what we would do is we would meet and talk about what we were doing in our lives, and then build off of that. It started to get a little bit more scripted as we went on, but we tried to stay as true to form and as true to our family morals and values and how we would handle the situations that were on TV in real life.
So you're kind of like on the changing face of everything. I mean, Lou Pearlman was a big shift in the music world with the whole band, boy band type of theory, and then the whole shift in TV and the reality world.
Yeah, I feel like, when people listen to 90s music and they're like, oh, this was the best era. Like, I was on that edge of this TV and music thing kind of becoming what it is today, So, and I would joke, like, 10 years ago, I would be like, watch, in 10 years, everybody's going to be doing this. It was definitely cool to be part of that change and to be part of that new leaf of the business. So I'm pretty lucky, but I had to disappear for a while because it got a little crazy there for a second.
Yeah, it did. And you know what? That's what makes you so much more wiser than the years that you've lived.
Exactly. Yes. I've seen a lot.
Are you a daddy's girl?
I'm a super daddy's girl. Oh my gosh. He's like the sweetest person in the whole world. So it's hard to like not be, people think he's like this big yelling, screaming, crazy, tough wrestler, and I baby talk him. So,
well, there's no doubt you probably know a different Hulk Hogan than the rest of us do. And finally, I guess because you're coming to town, and thank you for doing so for our Guys Expo, September 17th at the Utica Memorial Auditorium. Us guys are going to want to know, what's your type of man?
You know what? Okay, this is like what is my friends and family can't believe it because everybody pictures me with like a Ken doll. Like they want me to marry a big, tall, blonde football player, and like that's what my friends see me with because I'm like, tall and blonde and athletic. And I always go for the different guys. I always go for like they either have to be really burly and big and hairy or they have to be like a skinny rocker or something different, But the thing that really gets me is somebody that can like mentally get inside my head, So that's kind of what gets me. If you've got brains and if you're funny and if you're interesting, then I'm yours.
Well, thank you so much, Brooke. We appreciate you taking time out. We know you're busy as heck, and we look forward to seeing you September 17th.
I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to meeting everybody and having a good time. So thank you for having me on the phone, and I can't wait to meet you in person.